Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 776 of FloWRestling Radio Live. 1,000 more till 1776, a true show of freedom. I'm joined today by Bitcoin Ben Askren, JD Raider, John Kozak. Ben's just here for 15 minutes. He's half high on the blockchain. He's got the ocean in the background. What a flex. Ben, what is happening? You're continuing to stir the pot on Twitter, as you are wont to do. What's going on, man?
I don't see what people are so offended about me saying, hey, here's what I heard. I'm not claiming these are true. I'm just telling you what I hear. The Shane Griffith thing was funny because I heard it from one person from Wisconsin on the day before. What's day? Today is Thursday. Tuesday. Then I was talking to someone else. These are pretty good sources from California. Same answer, same amount, same everything, same, right? So I'm like, that's interesting. Either the same person spreading the rumors, or maybe there's something to this. And obviously with the Real Woods one, we don't know that NLWC made the offer, but we do know that he left Stanford a day after we posted that. So I think probably where there's smoke, there's fire in these things. And I find it to be interesting. And I'm not someone who's like, I'm not too prude. I'm not like, oh my God, kids are getting paid. Whatever. I think it's great. Let's pay these kids.
Pay these children.
But you know where it's illegal here. We talked about this. It's illegal if it's happening. We don't know if it's happening. It may be, it may not be. You cannot tie an NLI or an offer to the attendance of a specific university.
So I talked to someone about that yesterday, and that may not be the case. Like Texas A&M apparently has like the #1 football recruiting class, and it's like tied to if they leave the university, their agreement goes away, and it's like a known thing.
But I thought I know we were going to talk about this quick today, so I went and started Googling some old articles, and that was one of the notions that I came away with.
Yeah. Well, I mean that to me seems like what it should be, right? NIL shouldn't be tied to that, but it sounds like, yeah. Well, it certainly is in these instances, right? All these offers right now that we're hearing about are related to attending a school. And didn't Shinzo confirm, Kozak, yesterday that Griffith is being recruited right now?
Yeah, he was talking about it yesterday on Bash's podcast, and basically they brought up your tweet, Ben, and he was like, "Yeah, guys from our team, we know they're getting big offers." So,
which is crazy because he's not in the portal.
Yeah, and that's so. You've used the word proxy a few times on Twitter, Christian, and I think maybe we should define this because maybe there's some listeners who don't understand what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, intermediaries.
Meaning, a major college coach is not going to go text an athlete, "Hey, here's an offer," because then the athlete gets a screenshot that, then they're fired or whatever, right? You have people do these things for you, and sometimes these people are doing these things maybe without, I don't want to say without permission, but like you're not having a meeting every Monday saying, "Hey, you go offer this guy, you go offer that guy." You just know, they know, hey, we need a 125 pounder. Maybe if someone comes available, you go offer them, or maybe even if they're not available, you go offer them anyways, right? Those type of things.
Yeah. So it would be obviously shockwaves if Griffith were to leave. And one thing about the Real Woods, he was on the Bader show. I think we have the clip talking about the NIL deal or lack thereof. Go ahead.
Truly the best place for me to continue to do my undergrad.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised that there's been some rumors, or a lot of rumors, circling your name, going to Iowa, maybe going anywhere else, NIL deals. Have you struck any NIL deals in college or recently?
I mean, I've had several here and there here at Stanford, but none at Iowa yet. I know there's a lot of opportunity there. I talked to a few of the wrestlers about different opportunities that they have, but I know Iowa's a massive fan base. I'm going to have a lot of opportunities there. There hasn't been I haven't made an NIL deal yet.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it, but it's not like all this social media, I don't know, it's crazy, but it's cool. think of it, it's cool these numbers are going around, but let me get that in my pocket. Where is it at? So I'm gonna go find it though. I'm gonna figure it out.
Okay, Ben, your reactions. He says he doesn't have a deal.
At least he's smart enough not to implicate himself. I like that part. I like that. Great job on
So
that
that's what you think's going on?
Well, I mean, that definitely happened. He didn't implicate himself at all. I don't know. So the Real Woods thing, I have now had confirmed by a lot of people who I trust their opinion on it. I don't know what the exact number is. I don't know the exact terms of the agreement are. I don't know if it's, hey, as soon as you sign the papers, you get the money, or are you going to get it a monthly stipend? Are you going to get it at the end of the deal? I don't know what those terms are, but I've talked to enough people where it seems really likely that there was something there.
So you think there's something coming for him one way or the other?
It's semantics. He said
like.
He doesn't have an NIL deal.
Right.
Maybe it's not NIL. Maybe it's just money under the table. I don't know.
Yeah, and also the word, yet is key there, because he's still at Stanford right now. I think he's finishing school, and then he'll eventually make his way over to Iowa.
That's good. A good pickup, JD.
Maybe he didn't lie, yet.
Yeah. You got to appreciate his morals. He didn't want to lie, so he threw that in there. It's like my daughters; they cross their fingers under the table when they make deals with each other.
Oh, wow!
And I have my fingers crossed. But come on, dude. That ain't in the spirit of the agreement. You got to freaking honor your word.
Yeah, that's the ultimate betrayal for siblings. Hey, did you hear Coach John Mark Bentley yesterday talking about these coaches recruiting Milner?
I did not, but you told me about it, and that's pretty audacious, huh?
That's quite audacious.
So, hey, let me ask you this, because I know a lot of times I want to get down to what I kind of want to get down to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've wanted pro wrestling to happen forever. And what I was thinking is, do I really give a damn if it's pro wrestling within the college programs and college system? I don't know that I really care. I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. Guys get paid what people think they're worth, and then we go from there.
Free market man like myself.
Big capitalist, JD.
So what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't describe this as professional or professionalized.
What else you got getting paid to do a sport? What else would you call that?
Well, I think there's professional can mean a couple different things, just organized in a professional way or handled in a professional way, not handled through third parties. If it's so professional, why does it have to be done through third parties that are not related to the institutions? If it's so professional, why is it?
Open this thing up. Let's let them have it.
That's what I say. It's okay, yeah, sure, fine, but transparency would be I think that's what this doesn't have, that because it's inherently unprofessional right now. To the point that Real Woods has to describe. I mean, if Real Woods does have something lined up, he's got to be sort of cagey about it, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say it's not professional.
Ben, what do you think about the athletes that are in college getting money, possible funding going to college athletes, taking away from down the line potential RTC athletes?
Well, that's what I was talking to someone about this exact discussion. So we were saying, I'll just use Brian Smith because I know Missouri really well. So right, Missouri is trying to endow their program. So ever since I've been there, they've been fundraising for that. So there would be no way no way the Missouri program could drop. They're also now fundraising for an RTC, the Missouri Wrestling Foundation. And then obviously they did a huge locker room upgrade. They fundraised as part of that, right? And now if they have to fundraise to get college athletes in their program, man, that's I feel like there's only going to be so much money coming from the Missouri wrestling fan base, no matter how many things he's got to fundraise for. And so the more ways you divide the pie up, the less there is. So the person I was talking to was making the argument that long-term, it could really hurt the RTC system because in their opinion, and I think their opinion is probably true. I haven't thought as much about it as they did, but the RTC athletes aren't as valuable as they think they are. They're only valuable as a tool to get college kids to come there so their NCAA team can score points, right? Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this. There's not a lot of RTCs who actually run as an RTC, right? We talk about Penn's kind of got a whole team, Michigan, Penn State, but a lot of the RTC members are just college training partners. So now if I have, say, $70,000 and I say, hey, am I going to get 2 RTC athletes for $36,000 each, or can I spend this on getting some better recruits? If I'm a college coach, probably gonna spend that on getting some better recruits.
Yeah.
And if you're the donor, you probably want the school to perform, not necessarily to RTC guys.
Yeah.
In most cases, the RTC is to help the college. We've all known that. I mean, let's not act like that's not just a fact.
Right. And I'd say that's absolutely going to be what happens because there's just really limited resources around this sport, right? And there's only so much of our sport is just propped up by rich dudes who like wrestling, right? That's like a huge part of it. And rich dudes don't like losing a lot of money. So there's only a certain number of those people in wrestling. And they're not going to double fund, right? They're going to just take the money that was at RTC, give it to the college program in all likelihood. So it's definitely two-edged, and I think it's not to me something that's professionalized is actually a self-sustaining sort of entity, right? A league, a business, an actual thing, not just like transactions because it's true.
Yeah,
too.
I know. I totally get what you're saying, and I think on the long term that would be true. But there's obviously many professional leagues in the other sports. They got to start out with funding, right? And I mean, let's say Professional Fighters League in MMA. That's professional fighting. They are losing a boatload of money every single year trying to make that thing go. One championship disclosed their financials. They're losing money. So obviously with any. I don't want to say all. I haven't researched them all. With a lot of these professional leagues, you have to put some juice in to make them go.
Sure, but this is.
I know what you're saying. It's not organized from the top.
The input of the money is not designed to actually. It doesn't actually end with anything that generates money. It just makes them feel good because their team does better. There's no financial impact of that.
Obviously in a few instances, like Iowa selling out Carver Hawkeye, and they should really raise their rates because last year they charged $85 for a season ticket, and then the lowest price for a Penn State Iowa ticket was like $150. So they probably should raise those rates. They could actually make money, but yes, there's not a lot of programs who can generate revenue at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do. All this happening around the sport does make me a little nervous just about.
Really? Why? It's so much fun.
It is fun. And I root for stories for sure. And this is definitely that. But I just get nervous about how just unregulated, just how out of control this sort of feels. And now we've got how much. I worry the coaches are going to be extending themselves and making their programs vulnerable, and that can have real negative impacts on wrestling. Like, what are these coaches willing to do to keep their guys? What are these coaches willing to do to get their guys? And what happens when they're going to the nth degree to get or keep, and then the NCAA starts taking a little more of taking a closer look at all these programs, and then it's the sport, and then it's like, wait, what is wrong? And then it can get dicey quick. I worry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Okay.
And someone posted a chart. I think it was Internet Bagman posted a chart on Twitter about NCAA. I think I said this to you, Christian, about NCAA violations over the last 3 years. Bro, did you see what percentage of NCAA basketball programs had violations?
Oh no, a lot. I'm
Did
sure.
I send this to you? I thought it 37%. I was like, holy.
Kansas is under investigation right now, and they just won. But it was for a level 1, which is like contacting somebody outside of the period.
It's not a big deal there. Christian, it was 37%. It was in what, 2020, 2021. 37% of the Division I basketball programs had a violation. Holy crap.
Where's wrestling?
Wrestling was 0. They weren't on the chart. It was 0, 0, 0. So it had listed every sport that had a violation. And, so obviously basketball was 1. I think football was 2. And then, and then the lower sports were like, 0% 1 year, 2%, 2% or something like that, right? Really low numbers.
Yeah. Well, it's like, in San Francisco, if you shoplift, it wasn't like a crime. It doesn't mean there was no shoplifting anymore, right? It's like
37% of them got caught. How many were actually violating?
Exactly. I mean, certainly. Yeah, I just think, and I asked Coach Bentley about this on the show, like,
so crazy.
Why don't you guys? Why are these guys not turned in? Why, if this is happening, this is not legal? And it was just like, well, basically, it's not the coaches, it's people affiliated, so there's nothing really you can do. But I feel like that's not legal either.
I told you a rumor yesterday.
You love rumors.
With a proxy, you don't need. With a proxy, you don't need permission, right? You can just go do it, or you get this idea of like, hey, this is what I want you to do. Go do it at some point. I'm not giving you specific permission to do this right now. No, I told you a college coach told me that one program has turned in another program for recruiting a specific athlete. I won't give away which one because I was trying to verify the rumor and I wasn't able to do that.
Okay.
Don't you remember?
Yeah. I remember that part. Yeah. So one thing about it, Ben, is the I don't think just like, okay, I'm Coach X, I'm just gonna have this dude reach out to people. I don't think that is like an actual true layer of security in the spirit of the rule. Because just like with Reggie Bush, I was telling you about this yesterday, Ben.
Yeah.
Like he got banged up because of working with an agent, or someone hooked him and his family up with apartments and all this stuff, lost his Heisman, and they cited USC for lack of institutional control. So it would seem like, hey, if one program, and it sounds like many, if programs have a number of intermediaries running around making offers, doing that, that would be by definition lack of institutional control if that is not allowed to be happening.
Seems like it would be hard to prove.
I'm gonna go start making donations to Iowa State in JD's name, and we'll see what happens.
Go for it. Ben, how much longer do we have you?
Like 2 minutes, maybe.
2 more minutes. Do you have anything else? I kind of give you the last little bit here.
No, I think this whole thing is, like I said, really fun. I wouldn't mind. I know you are correct when you say that it's not like professional in the sense of a professional league, but I would love for there to be a professional avenue for wrestling athletes. I do think college coaches should maybe look at the whole ecosystem before they maybe just go balls to the wall on this one, because I do think that there could be some negative impacts to RTCs, because maybe you're able to fundraise a little more and you bump, say you raise $500,000 that's going different ways for your program. And that's probably a lot for some. And now you got another avenue to put money. Maybe you raise 10% more, maybe 20% more. You ain't doubling that number.
Right.
So it's like there's this limited amount of resources. And so I think college coaches should kind of look long and hard at what's this going to do to the entire ecosystem. And maybe start, I don't want to say work together, but you kind of got to a little bit, right?
Yeah. The other thing with NIL, Ben, and maybe leave with this, is like NIL is supposed to be like the student athlete's ability to utilize their own name and image in order to drive revenue for a business. Like Spencer Lee is like the primary wrestling NIL example. This is a guy who's a good wrestler. Rudis attaches their brand to a good wrestler who can teach technique and sell gear, etc. That is like what it's supposed to be. But it seems like a lot of the things you're hearing about are not really related to that. It's just like, please wrestle for my team.
Ben, before you sign off, though, I do want to get your take on coaches possibly using these proxies to poach wrestlers from other teams that are like not in the portal. They're not interested in leaving, but using their resources, they're trying to win an athlete, getting paid, going somewhere. What do you think about that?
I think it's probably happening for sure. I think it's a little bit underhanded. But honestly, these type of things have been happening, maybe not to this degree for years. Like, hey, Coach Smith, I was at Mizzou. I wanted Mizzou to be good. Hey, Coach Smith, this guy who's my friend, I've heard he doesn't really like it there. Just FYI, and Coach Smith's not like, he's like, oh, okay, well, just keep me in the loop or whatever, right? Stuff like that. Obviously happens in all college programs because the wrestling world is very interconnected, whether, you wrestled with someone in high school on a dual team, on Team Wisconsin somewhere, like this kind of stuff has been happening for a long time. Now, certain programs with a lot more resources, like the Milner situation, it freaking sucks. Like that sucks for App State. Hopefully they have a good enough relationship and the monetary offer is not high enough that he leaves, right? Because that's a huge piece for their program.
Yeah.
Hopefully for App State, not for John Milner and whoever wants him.
So, I totally, it's hard because I'm seeing a lot of sides of the argument.
It's a win-win for two of those three sides.
You're right. And if a kid can leave college with some money to go start a business or buy himself a house or buy some Bitcoin, whatever he wants to do with his money.
Wow.
You're right. That's great for an athlete. You are right. That's great for an athlete. I kind of love it. So, but hold on. Wait. Oh, sorry. I've told you this, Christian, and this will be the last thing. I am kind of dubious of a lot of these things, and here's why. I feel like I talked to Parker. I don't usually talk to Parker, maybe like once a month or so. Like he's really close with Max, and we're buddies, but not super close. But I spent a lot of time with him last weekend, and I talked to Keegan on a lot, right? Probably bi-weekly, something like that, like a lot, probably a couple times a week. These guys have not gotten any offers from anyone, and they have a lot of eligibility left, and they are obviously highly desirable. One's taken third twice, one's taken third and first. I would think that, and I know they would keep something like this from me. They'd be like, hey, Ben, here's what I got. What's your opinion on it? Yeah. They haven't gotten any types of offers. So the fact that they're not getting anything kind of makes me dubious that other people are getting as big of offers.
Yeah. I think people can understand who's like a little more vulnerable, who can maybe be plucked, like Stanford with Real and Shane.
Milner?
Those guys.
How do you know? So Milner actually happened. So how do we know Milner's vulnerable?
So I think they just think, okay, so Missouri and UNI are not probably viewed as like super small programs that you can just pluck, but like I think they view App State as that's vulnerable. We could get in there and I don't know. There's maybe a higher likelihood. Whereas like Keegan leaving Missouri just seems far fetched. And hey, who's a famous person you're going to meet today? Who are you going to hang out with?
I'm on the panel starting at 10:30. I believe it's live on the Bitcoin YouTube channel.
We all subscribe to that.
Bitcoin
obviously.
Magazine. Hold on, I must Google it for you guys. So it's a live stream. They stream it's Bitcoin Magazine. There's actually 6,000 people watching it live right now. Wow, it's a lot. So they stream the person on stage, and then they come to the panel, and I'm the panel with a woman named Natalie Brunel, she's good, Portnoy, and Alex McShane, who's a writer for Bitcoin Magazine. So I'll be on the panel with those three in an hour.
Okay. Well, I don't subscribe to that magazine, but
it's a YouTube channel.
Sounds like a magazine, dude.
It's all right. I gotta go.
See you, buddy. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on.
Bye. See ya.
Oceanside, Ben Askren, signing off. We were able to cram a lot in that small amount of time. Very, very efficient use of Ben's time. Him flexing the ocean view. What a guy. Thoughts on any of this to either of you?
halfway playing devil's advocate there with the.
It sounds like you were making offers to Jonathan Milner based on that.
I'm not, as I don't run a college program, but
Proxy.
It's like I said, it's beneficial for the athletes that get paid, so it's hard to argue against it. We always talk about using their resources. Like, these coaches are paid to win and perform the best that they can.
See, here's the thing about that. In games, in competitions, there are rules and structures that everyone has to follow by, otherwise the game doesn't make sense. So they need to fall within that. I'm cool with it happening within the framework of what this is supposed to be, but I can't, they are supposed to get their best teams, but that's not by any means necessary. It's like, no, follow the rules.
So what rules would you put in place?
Well, businesses would, what, in regards to what?
NIL regulations, because right now, technically college coaches are not reaching out to these athletes. It's
but they are.
parties.
That's part of the point. Part of the point is that they are doing that. They are reaching out.
So how would you prevent this? Give a solution.
Well, what do you mean? How do you prevent it? You have to follow the rules. You need enforcement. You need the NCAA to take it seriously. You need compliance to take it seriously. You need coaches to follow the rules. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a cop.
I think you look at it similarly to any professional sport. When an athlete signs a deal with a team, they're under contract, right? There's certain standards, there's contracts placed around the terms and what they're getting compensated for. And I think that's where it's there's a lack of that enforceable in college athletics right now, because kind of the floodgates have been opened with transfer portals and, with basically a lack of any kind of punishment for leaving, right?
Yeah.
So there's no contracts. There's no standard. So where there's no standard, it's kind of there's just lawlessness.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It just seems a little out of control to me. And you know what? It's if these kids are in the portal, it's one thing, but now it's man, you're just on a team, and it's basically the criteria to be contacted is having eligibility remaining, and you're fair game in the eyes of. I think you want a rule. It's you can't be reaching out to these kids about contingent NIL deals or transfers if they're. Hold on, you can't reach out if they're not in the freaking portal.
Nobody can reach out.
No.
A business can't reach out and say, "Hey, I want to use your name, image, and likeness."
Yeah, but it can't be contingent on you going to a school.
Well, maybe the official contract doesn't say that.
Okay, well, that's what's in the official contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless you see, it's going to be very hard to regulate this.
Yeah, NIL is not.
You're just telling people to be moral. To be moral.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which can't happen. You need rules and regulations to keep people.
No, because the rules align with what I would consider to be the morality, right? If a kid doesn't want to transfer, he doesn't want to transfer. He's not in the portal. If he's in the portal, then okay, the coaches hit him up, everyone follow up. But the idea that anyone just can be approached is not cool.
Yeah. Unless you're a current athlete wanting to make money.
No, if you want to make money, go in the portal and roll the dice there. If that's your goal, then you can't have it both ways. Then okay, Mr. Entrepreneurial, get in the portal and see what happens. But none of this, come here, you get this, get that. I think that's rubbish.
Yeah. It also, in some sense too, I don't necessarily like this conversation because a lot of it is speculation and we're getting details through, hey, I heard it from this person who heard it from that person. So it feels like a game of telephone where it's what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want to know. What's the real issues? Because I think people that are willing to talk about it are those who have been on the wrong end of it, right? And so they're going to say this person did and there might be truth to it, but then we don't have details. We don't have names. We don't have figures. We don't have, the NIL deals and things like that. So in some sense, it's what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
And which we'll find out. And at that point, then we'll see something happen. But I guess that's our job to talk about the rumors. rumors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it's rumors if Bentley's coming on here and talking about it, though. You know, that's like Division I head coach talking about it.
Yeah.
Ben is definitely a big rumor guy. But then again, when Chinzo confirms it, I think that leaves the rumor portion. Now,
Well, it's still second-handed, right? It's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
third, and again, it's from the person who has the most to lose from
Yeah.
it. So, of course, there's going to be emotion and things attached to it that could be not all untruths, but maybe just a little bit outside of fact. And I'm just saying, you're hearing it from somebody who's hearing it from somebody else.
yeah.
That's
Heard
why
it from a friend who heard it from a friend.
right. That's why I don't love it.
Okay. Let's switch topics here. Fight of Your Life. Came out yesterday. Obviously, we had seen it. The feedback was very, very positive on social media, but curious for your thoughts. Maybe kick it off, John.
My thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, I mean, I thought it was really powerful. I think everybody knows someone, either if you're related to them or have a friend, or if you've been through yourself, who's dealt with addiction and how terrible that is. And I thought that the film did a wonderful job of kind of shedding a light on that, and maybe even stripping away some of like the shame that's attached to addiction, and how, man, it hits every person. I thought it was really powerful. If you haven't seen it yet, even my wife Carrie, she was like, I really want to watch that, and she doesn't want to watch too many things.
Yeah.
on FloWRestling, and so we watched it last night together, and it was good.
James.
Yeah, obviously the opioid epidemic is a huge issue in this country, so it's good anytime you can bring notice or shine some light on that. And sports are obviously a huge factor or funnel into it. So people a lot of times don't think about that or think about athletes struggling with things like addiction, but it definitely happens.
Yeah. It was so cool that Gregor was so just open about it and talking about it, and just as someone who watched Gregor most of his career, really from the time he won on, he had the spotlight on him, and I watched a ton of it. There's just no scenario where I would have thought, okay, this is a guy that's dealing with is currently addicted to prescription drugs. So it really, and just how wrestling kind of kept him together pretty well, at least to get through some seasons, and then just how the wheels fell off for him afterwards, and his whole path down. It was interesting. I thought there were some actually funny parts to it, where like just how he ended up at Edinburgh was hilarious to me. Like he just wrote down that he was looking at Edinburgh because the person in line in front of him for like some tournament also wrote Edinburgh, and then for him to end up going there, and Coach Flynn really tells his story really, really well also. So it was cool. It's obviously not a fun watch, and it was awesome to have so many people who are telling really, really personal stories about how it impacted them. So if you haven't checked it out, it's going to be on the site forever. So please do watch it. It's not too late. Okay. Where do we want to go at this point? We could start getting into some questions if we wanted to. If there's some freestyle stuff on the top of y'all's minds, we could get into that.
Let's go questions. There's a handful of good ones.
Let's go questions. Okay. Just considering RTC, early high school recruiting, why not allow colleges to contact athletes earlier across the board? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the harm would be in that. I also don't know what the benefit would be necessarily from just early recruiting. Yeah. What are your thoughts on if you could contact way earlier? Because they actually did bump it earlier here recently. Like you can start talking and then going on visits a year earlier than previously possible.
I like it where it's at. Your last 2 years of high school. I think this is kind of like what you're talking about, like another regulation to keep recruiting in check. So you don't have coaches out here trying to get middle schoolers to sign, you know. So I think it's okay where it's at. I don't, if you want to bump it up to sophomore year or something, I don't see too much harm in that, but I think it's also okay where it's at.
Yeah. With Spencer Lee back next year, do you think he's a lock for the Hodge? Does he come back dominant like he's been, or having surgery, do you think he will lose pace a little bit? Well, he's certainly a big favorite for the Hodge Trophy.
Double Hodge, Yanni.
Ooh, yeah, you can already write it down.
Big four-timer.
They're going to double Hodge this one.
2 4-timers.
Yeah. So, you know, I think he's a lock. I mean, the one thing that will depend on is what's his schedule going to be. Because if he's
you got to think it's going to be limited.
If he's a second semester only type of situation and he goes into Big Tens with 6 matches and wins Big Tens and NCAAs, you know.
What if he dominates those, but Yanni wrestles a full season just less dominant?
It's hard to, with dominance being such a focus for the Hodge, you would think that would for sure, because if you dominate your way through Big Tens and NCAAs, that's kind of like the ultimate display. Then, you know, okay, you didn't go to the Binghamton Open and get 3 falls.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been beaten in the regular season. Handful of times you don't wrestle much of a regular season. Mm-hmm. That could be that's an argument for Yanni.
True.
Yeah, and if Yanni ends his career like...
And if Yanni goes crazy, wrestling at every Open, picks up 30 matches...
130-1.
He could say, you know, but I wrestled the full season. I put myself out there.
Mm-hmm. So thinking about the criteria, quality of competition is another one. And do we think, my opinion would be that it would not be a giant advantage for Spencer, but having Vito and Glory in his weight would probably give him a little more of a nod in that area. I don't think
Vito and Glory are that much a step above, like Austin Gomez, Bryce Andonian.
You don't?
Not that much.
Vito? I mean, I would disagree. I think Vito. I mean, I know Vito literally lost to Glory twice, but man, I don't know. My opinion is that they are. They're.
I just don't think it's enough step up to hardly even come into consideration.
Well, if there's 7 criteria or whatever, I think if you have to pick one, now maybe we're just in a world where if it's close, just everyone gets 2. But I think if you have to pick, I think Spencer right now would have better quality of competition. IMO. But here's the second question: what are we expecting any regression from Spencer coming off of surgery, double knee surgery? It will be on the one hand,
he will have 2 ACLs now.
He will be hopefully at, you know, full capacity. I would say there's just a likelihood that he looks better than ever. It's just as likely that he looks a little worse as he does looking better than ever, right? So I don't expect him to lose pace. I think he's a freak in a lot of ways, and I've been hearing rumor mill his recovery's going really awesome, which is great. And so, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think it'll just be a matter of, do the surgeries hold? Does he, you know, is the repair thorough? Is he able to be completely, you know, go without having any sort of a setback? That'd be my biggest concern.
It's a question for a doctor, of which I am not.
No, we're close. How would Pat Glory match up with Dayton Fix?
Folk style?
I guess so.
I'm sure it would be
2-part question.
I'm sure it would be a close match, but I would pick Dayton 9.5 times out of 10.
Okay, at halftime, that's the match I want to see. I would pick Dayton as well. I think the top game is interesting just because Glory's so good there. Could he get could he challenge Dayton in a way we haven't seen? Because one thing with Dayton is, I can't think of an elite top wrestler he's had to go against, right? Off the top of my head. And you'll probably say one, and I'll be like, oh, yeah. Because, I don't think he ever hit Gross at any point. He was obviously, the gold standard top wrestler at 33. But I don't know. I don't think they ever hit. Roman, primarily neutral. Austin, primarily a neutral guy. Maybe did he hit Lezak once even? I think he wrestled him.
He did. He won 6-1.
6-1. So that would be an example of a really good top guy. So I would still favor Dayton, but I think it's close. I think Glory's getting better. And the thing with Lezak is you never really knew what you were going to get with that guy. So I don't know. But in freestyle, obviously, I think we know how that goes.
There is a chance we could see this match. Glory, notoriously big for 125. I think there's been talks about him possibly.
Notorious B.I.G.
Yes, literally. There's been talks about him possibly moving up. And with the return of Spencer, it's maybe not the worst idea.
Man, I don't know. I feel like he wants the Spencer match.
I think he does too, but...
Yeah, I don't know. He's so big, though. My gosh. At some point.
Both him and Vito, very big for 125. What
Yeah.
if they both move up? Spencer has nobody at 125.
Oh, my gosh. Well, then he's going to kill everybody. Who's going to...
Depending on how he looks and if he can stay healthy.
I mean, he beat Courtney pretty soundly with no ACLs.
Pretty soundly. I think it was a regular decision, wasn't it?
It was regular.
Yeah. Obviously, he did it at NCAA championships 2 years ago, but
Yeah.
I have my worries about Spencer staying healthy, even
Oh,
post
wow.
surgery.
Okay.
I'm just saying the man has not been healthy the past however many years.
Yeah.
It is worrisome.
Worrisome. I agree. Does Bo Bartlett AA next year?
This question's for you, Christian.
You already know the answer. Yes. He's going to AA next year. He really is. And I did not predict him to AA this year, at least going into NCAAs. There's some maybe old tape. Who knows what I said then? You put it on wax, JD?
Are we assuming he goes 141 pounds?
That is, yes, we must assume that.
Wow, that's a big hit for Yanni's Hodge argument for
You know
his
what?
strength of competition.
You know what? One of these days I'll have my revenge.
Yeah, I think he probably does.
Oh, wow.
I think he sneaks on there.
They're coming around.
No!
The movement has started. Let's go. John Kozak.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, Alan Hart's number 8 right now in the way too early preseason rankings at 141.
Sign me up for that match.
Yeah. I said.
No, sign me up for 20 seconds of that match.
Yeah. Yeah, I say there's a good chance.
Wow.
Maybe
It's
maybe
unanimous.
Maybe 60%.
So that's a lock. 3 locks. Lock it in. Bo Bartlett on the podium. Where on the podium? In the upper quadrants, potentially, possibly.
I'm saying 5 through 8.
5 through 8. Well, we'll see. Which true freshman / redshirt freshman will have a breakout season next year?
Is Carter Young going to break out next year, or is he going to stay on the same trajectory as this year?
I don't know. I would love to see it. Part of me wonders if he's a 33.
I think he would be a little better suited there, but maybe he puts on some size.
He's rangy, though. I want to see Patty very badly. I really want to. Feldman is someone I could see just being a nightmare.
They got a decision to make because they do have Orndorff there possibly for another year.
Yeah.
Does Swiderski go right away?
Yeah,
Dude.
he'll go right away, I would assume.
Oh, my gosh. He's so good.
It's like the real deal.
49, and him at 49, that's going to help Yannis Hodgcase.
I would assume he'd be a 41.
I know, but yeah, maybe so. He's when I interviewed him to channel my inner nomad and stood next to him. That is a big kid. He's not small.
If Levi Haynes goes right away, I'm sure he'll be very good as he beat Patty.
Yeah, I think
This year.
if he goes, they're like, okay, he's ready. He's ready to contend right away. And 57, if Carr moves up, is very. I mean, Monday will still be there, but it's like Monday and Luan, and there's, and Monday this year lost to Ed Scott, who didn't play, so it's I would say a pretty wide open weight class. So keep your eye on 57, especially if David Carr moves up.
Ohio State could have a couple big names coming through with Mendez, Buzakis, and Feldman. Now, do those guys all go right away? I was talking about true freshmen.
Right. So
that don't have a red shirt.
I think they use a lot of them. It's interesting now with Mendez. Like, I think I mentioned it yesterday. Is he at 41? Would he go 33 and then make Buzakis redshirt, or did they battle it out for the spot and the loser redshirts, or goes up? I don't know. And also they have D'Amelio, who's going to start the year in the top 10 just by attrition and people leaving the weight. So I think some decisions. I don't think they have to make a lot of those decisions right now. And those guys aren't even on campus yet. So really, I feel like they have a decision at almost every weight where those guys are considered.
Yeah, I did the way too early lineup look for Ohio State yesterday. It's on the website now, but they're gonna have a decent team after a somewhat down year because they possibly could return a good chunk of their higher placers, and they bring in those guys at weights where maybe they had some struggles.
True.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Patrick Kennedy or Facundo either.
Facundo
165.
He's definitely gonna have to improve upon what he looked like as a red shirt, but that could obviously happen. But based upon his red shirt year, he was not quite on the level to really make a huge impact.
Yeah, and 165 is just like almost everybody comes back, and if you insert David Carr there too.
Right.
Yeah, and so with and you said Kennedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with him, he's been in Iowa 2 years, lost to Formato of App State. He's gonna have to make some pretty decent jumps to get to the even All-American status. I think it's possible for him. I think he's really good, but I think if Patrick Kennedy wasn't going to such a great program, I think we'd be a little like, okay, maybe a year or two. Mm-hmm. But he's going to Iowa, so expectations are going to be sky high for this guy.
Yep.
Could Shane Van Ness
Oh yeah.
pop off? Mm-hmm. He's a guy who we didn't even see really in redshirt. I think he just wrestled two matches
at the Clarion.
Yeah, and it was 2 pins or something like that. Two people I hadn't really heard of. But he's a guy who we were all super, super high on coming out of high school.
I think he's a savage. I think he's going to do really well. But then again, you need to see more, right, at this point. He didn't have a very busy redshirt year. So that's a little concerning.
If Richie Figs could figure out the whole Brandon Courtney, Kale McGee thing, I think he would be an impact player at 125 for sure. But
is he going to sit? Do you think Richie Figueroa is going to sit a year?
Hey, if I'm poaching people, I'm maybe making some calls to Tempe.
Yeah.
Proxy JD.
I'm just saying that's a scenario where you could maybe get a guy that doesn't want to sit on the bench for a year.
And he has ties to an NCAA powerhouse. So you're technically a booster at this point.
Basically.
Booster JD.
Richie Figueroa, have you ever been to the Sandhill Crane capital of the world, Kearney, Nebraska?
The Sandhill?
Sandhill Crane capital of the world.
Sandhill Crane.
Okay.
It's a bird.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Get with it.
I'm
Go
trying.
out in nature one time for me.
I'm trying. I haven't been bird watching in years. All right. Hey, well, let's get the heck out of here. It's the freaking weekend. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bitcoin Ben will be back next Tuesday, I guess. I think, probably. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great weekend. Wow. There it is. What's it called?
Sandhill Crane.
Sandhill Crane. Tell me one cool thing. Is it big? Looks kind of big.
It's not that big, but they migrate in an hourglass shape, and Kearney is the middle point of that hourglass. So at several times throughout the year, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of these bird in Kearney, Nebraska.
Wow.
People travel from all over. It's a very big deal.
It's a very big deal. It's such a big deal that no one even knew this bird existed until the
Many
show.
people know this bird exists.
All right. Go look at some cranes. Shout out to the Lopers and RTC South and all those schools not poaching John Milner. See you later, guys. Goodbye.